You know that feeling, right? When the national team squad drops. All the buzz, the questions. What's it mean for the big qualifiers coming up?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we are today. We're diving into Wales head coach Craig Bellamy's latest squad and his thoughts ahead of these World Cup qualifiers.
We've got some really good stuff here, excerpts from a recent interview he did.
Right. And our job today is to, well, really unpack that. Not just who's in, but the why. The challenges he's seeing, what these games against Liechtenstein and Belgium really mean for them.
Exactly. We're aiming to cut through the noise, get straight to the analysis from Bellamy himself so you can quickly get what's most important here, what's driving the decisions.
Okay, so let's start with the players, the potential coming through. Bellamy talked quite a bit about one guy, Ronan.
Yeah, that was interesting. The history there. Bellamy said he's known him since he was very, very young. So not just some new name on a list.
No, sounds like he's been tracking him for ages. Even wanted to sign him for Burnley last year, apparently.
Right. Which tells you something, doesn't it? He's really watched his progress, called it outstanding.
And he wasn't shy about predicting big things. Called his potential ridiculously high. That's pretty strong praise.
He mentioned specifics, too. Very athletic, very intelligent, not just physical.
Right, that intelligence piece, athletic intelligence. Suggests he sees someone who can, read the game, make smart choices. Crucial at that level.
And it sounds like this wasn't a last-minute thing either. He would have been in the March squad if he hadn't picked up that injury.
Definitely planned. And there's a tactical angle, too, right?
Yeah.
Bellamy mentioned needing to develop that right-back spot with younger players.
Yeah, and he sees Ronan as the perfect profile for that. So it's not just talent for talent's sake. It's filling a specific need they've identified.
Exactly. Strategic.
So beyond Ronan, what was his take on the younger group overall after that training camp in Spain?
Oh, he sounded really positive. Brilliant. Really good was his description. Picked quite a few from that U19 group, called them a talented group.
But the key was how they adapted, getting them into the way we do things.
That seemed to be the main thing, yeah. He said it's different to what they've been doing before, and he was so impressed by them, how they picked it up.
So a good sign for the future.
He thinks so. Said the future should be very exciting if, and that if is important if they keep developing. But yeah, definite optimism there.
Okay, so why is this focus, identifying these specific profiles like Ronan, bringing through the youth, why is that so vital for a team like Wales looking forward?
Well, look, for a nation of Wales's size, you can't just expect ready-made top players to appear constantly. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
Sustainable success, it really depends on getting the absolute maximum out of your own system. Finding those right profiles, developing them, getting them used to the senior team's way, the way we do things, as he put it.
Yeah.
That's basically the whole strategy for building competitive teams year after year. It's fundamental.
Okay, right. So shifting from that potential to some familiar faces returning, this is pretty key too, right? Harry Wilson and Ethan Ampadu are back.
Huge.
Yeah.
He highlighted both. And he was pretty specific about what they were missing without them.
With Wilson, it wasn't just the obvious skill level.
No, I mean, he acknowledged the quality, of course.
Yeah.
But what really stood out was Bellamy talking about his work rate. The way he works for the team is incredible, he said.
That commitment.
Yeah, the team does come first with him, Bellamy said, which I completely buy into and really appreciate.
Yeah.
That combination, skill plus work ethic, is valuable.
And obviously the attacking output, goals, assists.
Oh, massively. He's high on all that creative stuff in the final third. Bellamy just came right out and said they definitely missed that in the last two games. Called him remarkable, fits their style really well. Sounds like he's more than just a good player back. He's like central to their attack.
And then Ampadu, they haven't had him since, what, September?
Yeah, a long time. And Ampadu's return is maybe even more crucial because of his profile. Bellamy put it bluntly. We don't quite have someone in the country at this present moment with his profile. He's unique for them.
He did give a shout out to Shine, though, for filling in.
He did, yeah. Said he'd done really, really well. But Ampadu brings something different. Bellamy got quite tactical here.
Right, he talked about transition.
Exactly. He said Ampadu is vital for games where there's going to be transition. And for anyone listening, transition is basically those messy moments, when the ball changes hands, attack to defense to attack really fast.
Which happens a lot in big international games.
All the time, especially against top teams.
Yeah.
So having a player like Ampadu who can handle that chaos, break up attacks, start counters, it's massive. Bellamy called having him back a big big bonus, specifically for dealing with those transitions.
It's fascinating how he breaks down exactly what they bring. Wilson's creativity and work rate, Ampadu unique ability in transition. How does getting those specific, maybe irreplaceable profiles back change things for Bellamy strategically, especially heading into these, well, potentially tricky games?
Oh, it changes the whole picture. For Wilson, you get that creative spark back, maybe allows others more freedom. For Ampadu, you get that anchor, someone who can cope with the pace and intensity when the game breaks up.
Yeah.
It gives them options, maybe different formations, different ways to approach opponents, flexibility they just didn't have before. It's huge for a coach.
Okay, so we've got the players, new potential, key guys back. But then there's the whole challenge of preparing them, especially with this June window. Bellamy sounded pretty frustrated about that.
Yeah, he didn't mince words, called it a tricky period. And the main issue he flagged was the league schedules clashing, especially for the EFL players.
The championship, League One players.
Right. He basically said the window is not set up for international football because those guys have had a month off.
Compared to the Premier League guys who have like a week.
Exactly. Premier League players finish, have a week's rest. Perfect, he called it then at camp. But the EFL lads, 3.5 weeks off. And he was very clear, not acceptable to go into international football.
Why not? What's the actual problem with that longer break?
Injury risk, mainly, and just general fitness for that intensity. He said it's too big a risk because muscles kind of shut down after that long. Trying to ramp them back up to international speed that quickly, he feels it's not quite possible, and you risk injuries.
Which is why they had that special pre-camp for the EFL guys.
Had to, yeah, to try and bridge that gap, manage that risk. He did say he hopes it might change next year if more Welsh players move up to the Premier League, aligning the schedules better. Fingers crossed for him there, I guess.
So even with those preparation hurdles and 2 games coming up, he seemed really locked in on the priorities.
Oh, absolutely. When asked about the games, Liechtenstein, then Belgium, he just said they're all important. Every cycle is. But his immediate energy, all in the first one.
Yeah, the interviewer tried to push him on Belgium, didn't they? And he just wasn't having it.
Not at all. Very firm. Wouldn't look past Liechtenstein. Kept saying, so important for us. His whole thing was one step at a time, and Belgium will take care of itself. Sounds like he's just purely excited about getting that first job done. Total focus.
So if you connect that to the bigger picture, these outside things like league schedules, player rest, they really dictate a national coach's whole approach, don't they? Preparation, selection, even how they frame the importance of games.
They absolutely do. It's a constant battle. You're not just picking tactics, you're dealing with player fitness managed by clubs, limited time together. Bellamy's comments really show how those off-field logistics can become the main strategic puzzle. It forces that laser focus on the immediate task, just getting the players ready for game one.
Okay, lastly, let's touch on something more personal. The Belgium connection. Bellamy's time living and coaching there. The source said it was a country close to his heart.
Yeah, he talked about living in Brussels, called it amazing, said it gave him a good step back, being somewhere he was completely unrecognizable. He enjoyed the peace. Sounds like it was good for him personally.
But the football takeaway from that time wasn't really about Belgium itself.
No, not how he tells it. He was really clear. It's not Belgium. It was more Vincent.
Yeah.
Vincent Company. He said that's where he really learned football, full stop.
Wow. So his memories, his connection, it all points to Company.
Pretty much entirely. And he stressed the impact Company had. Said his education in playing this game and coaching in this game just accelerated working with Vincent. That's a massive statement about mentorship, isn't it?
It really is, which does make you wonder, how much does that personal journey, learning from specific people like Company, influence how a coach like Bellamy builds his team, coaches his way years later?
It seems absolutely central based on what Bellamy's saying. Learning from someone like Company, known for a very particular smart, possession-based approach, strong leadership. That's bound to leave a mark. You're not just applying textbook coaching, you're shaped by those key figures who fundamentally changed how you see the game. Makes you look for those Company-esque fingerprints on Wales, maybe.
Right. So let's try and pull this all together from our deep dive. We've heard Bellamy's thinking straight from him.
Yep. His detailed look at Ronan, the long-term view, the tactical need, and his real buzz about the young players coming through.
Plus the huge boost from getting Wilson and Ampadu back. Understanding the specific, unique things they bring, especially for those high-pressure transition moments.
And we can't forget the big challenge of that June window, The scheduling issues and how that forces his hand strategically, that absolute focus on Liechtenstein first.
And finally, that personal layer. How his time learning directly from Vincent Kompany in Belgium fundamentally shaped his coaching education.
So yeah, we've gone a bit deeper than just the squad list, tried to understand the why, the pressures, the philosophy behind it all.
So what does this all mean for you watching Wales? Well, it means squad choices are deeply strategic. Preparation is often about battling factors outside the coach's control. And the style of play you see. It might just reflect the ideas of the mentors who shaped the coach.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to maybe chew on. Given how clearly Bellamy links his coaching development to learning from company, what specific things that you associate with company's teams, tactical ideas, playing style, might you actually see Bellamy trying to bring to this Wales team in these qualifiers? What does a company influence look like when translated by Bellamy onto the pitch with Wales? Something to watch for.